Grace, and today we're going to be making our clay owl. You're going to have a piece of clay about the size of your hand, just like this, something you can grab onto. We're going to need a little bit of water and a paper towel or an art mat if you need to wipe off your hands or have something to protect the table. Now we want to work quickly, so we're not going to be playing around with this clay for too long because we don't want it to get too dry before we make our owl. So we are going to subtract 2 little pinches. So here's a 1 and 2. They're about the same size. So that's taking away because we're going to add those later and make eyes. We're going to add these back to make eyes. So I'm just going to keep them right off to the side here. And what I'm going to do with this sphere is kind of push it together, squeeze it with my hands, and you can even roll it like this with the palm of your hands back and forth, or you can roll it on the table back and forth. And it doesn't have to be a perfect sphere, but we want it a little smooth just to even out those spots that we just took away. Now we're going to put it down, and again we'll use the palm of our hand, and we're going to press. It's almost like giving a high five. You can give somebody a high five like this. That's how you're going to press. You're going to put all your strength into the palm of your hand to press down. We're not hitting it. We're not smacking it with our fingers. We are pressing. So our pressing should be quiet and not loud. Listen. Awesome. Now if I pick it up, it's starting to get a little flat right now. It almost looks like a little hamburger patty, but we want it really flat. We want it about the thickness of our pinky. So we've got a long way to go. So I'm going to keep pressing, and I'm going to put my weight, maybe even pressing with both hands, but still only using the palm. And you want to make it as flat as you can without breaking. So notice that sometimes I flip it over and I press again, maybe 1 or 2 or 3 times, and I'll flip it over again. And let's check to see if it's thick enough. Maybe just a little bit more. Let's check. It's getting better. I want to kind of look around and see if it's thick all the way through. Right here might be a little too thick. So I'm just going to press that just a tiny bit so it's all even. And now I have a nice round flat slab of clay, just like this. So what we're going to do to make our owl's wings is we are going to fold the edges over and fold them to make their wings. I'm going to take a little bit of glue, and I know I called it glue, but the water is like glue for clay. We don't use actual glue on clay, we use water. So we might call this clay glue or water. Whatever you'd like to call it. I'm going to put a little bit on here because that's going to help this piece of clay stick to here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to fold it over a little bit. I'm going to do it very carefully so I don't break the piece off completely. And I can use some of that water to smooth out any of these bumpy edges. If I want to use a tiny bit of glue, I like my water here, my clay glue, if you will, and I just lightly smooth it. I don't want the clay to get too wet because then it might start slipping all around, but I'll kind of take that water, or my clay glue, and kind of rub it on the side. Just make sure it's nice and flat. So I have one side done, and I'm going to do the same thing to this side. I'll get my special clay glue or my water and put it right here on the side, and gently and slowly fold it over. And this is another reason why we don't want to play around with the clay too much, because if it gets too dry, it could totally just break and crack right there. And again, just smoothing out just a little bit so I don't have too many cracks, and I can smooth that out nicely. And I might go in any other spots that I might see some extra cracks. So now I have my nice slab of a clay, and I folded this side over and this side over, and I attached it using some water, or as sometimes I call it, clay glue, because the water acts like glue for the clay. So now that's all together, and this is kind of what I have right now. And I'm gonna go in and make the decorations for the owls. So I'm gonna take these pieces that I pulled off before, and I'm gonna roll them in the palm of my hands like this to make little spheres, just like we started off with. So here's one. And here's another. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna add them onto this piece that I made here. So what we're gonna do, and if you remember, what makes the clay stick here? Not regular glue, but water, right? That's what we're gonna use today. So I'm gonna use a little extra water. I'm gonna put one circle here and one here, and we're gonna turn these into the eyes. So I have my clay, and what I'm gonna do, I might use my fingernail, and I just might press a couple little scratches. You can see like this. That's gonna help it stick even more. I'm gonna put it right here, and I might do that a couple times with my nails, just like that. And then I'm gonna kind of press it right on really hard. Press, press, press. I'm gonna do the same here. I'm gonna make a couple little marks with my nails. And I'll do the same here. You don't want to go overboard, just a few little marks. And you're going to press that sphere down. And now we have our owl's eyes. Yes! Now what we can do, we have the shape of our owl. We can use some special tools to make the shape of a beak, to make some patterns or designs on the belly or on the top, maybe make some designs inside the eyes. I will show you a picture on the next video on how I do that. So thank you so much for joining, and go on and move to the next step.